Minimalism is a huge trend right now. Marie Kondo made decluttering popular. The Scandinavian minimal white wall decor is what everybody is wanting in their homes right now. Selling all of your belongings to travel the world has become this glamorous, coveted lifestyle, and I am not saying that these things are wrong at all. I look up to so many of these things, but minimalism means so much more to me than just those things. If you're new here, my name is Tory, and this is my minimalism story. I think minimalism means something different to everybody because we all end up here for different reasons. For some people it's financial reasons, for some people it is to have the freedom to travel, for some people it's a way to reduce stress and anxiety, and for many of us it's a combination of all of those things. I personally consider myself an aspiring minimalist. I cannot fit all of my clothing into one suitcase. I don't only own 2 bowls and 2 spoons and 2 cups. But to me, minimalism means being intentional about the things that I bring into my home and how I spend my time. So I've always been really naturally organized. I remember being a little girl and my idea of a fun weekend was to reorganize my whole bedroom and completely rearrange everything. Ever since I can remember, I've found so much joy in organizing and making a space beautiful. I've also always naturally given everything in my home a home. So if you open any of the drawers in my kitchen or the cupboards in my bathroom, things are pretty organized. I've really never been the type of person to just shove things in drawers in order to really quickly clean up. However, while I'm really good at organizing, I do struggle with keeping things tidy. If I was to just go on autopilot throughout my day, I would leave a trail of things behind me. So my makeup would still be out. You would be able to tell every single thing that I ate for the day, what I wore, what surfaces I sat on, because I just leave things behind if I'm not intentional about it. And honestly, I drive myself crazy with that, and it's something that I've had to work on because I really do value having a clean and tidy home. So when I first started working from home about 2 years ago, I would spend so many hours every day cleaning my whole house, doing all the laundry, cleaning the bathrooms, organizing my pantry. I would just get so distracted and start procrastinating by cleaning. Basically, I spent so much time cleaning my house that I wasn't really getting anything else done. And while of course it's productive to clean your house, sometimes you have to let that go in order to get other things done. So this is really how I began pursuing minimalism more intentionally. I realized that I could organize a closet 1,000 times, but if I didn't actually deal with and get rid of the items in it that I wasn't using, I was just having the same problem and having to reorganize the same things over and over. I found myself in a place where even though I live in a small-ish house and I don't have any kids, I just felt like I was spending way more time cleaning than I should be. I was really drawn to minimalism because I knew that the less I owned, the less I needed to clean. So now, of course, my house does get messy, but even if it is a mess, I can pretty much always get it to a company-ready place within 20 minutes or so. I also really value quality over quantity, and this feels so cliche. I feel like everyone says this, but I truly live this out in my lifestyle. I don't go out and buy a new dress for every occasion or a new pair of shoes for every outfit. I put a ton, maybe too much thought in every single item that I purchase because I aim to own things that are versatile and are going to be well used and well loved in my home. This can apply to so many things, but especially when it comes to clothing, having less items but having items that I really love that are good quality and fit me well has actually made it so much less stressful for me to get dressed in the morning. And I feel like people don't really understand this. They think that more clothes is going to make it less stressful, but in my opinion, and I've heard this from a lot of other people as well, when you have less things but you really, really love every item in your clothing, it's just so much less stressful. And that really has been true in so many other areas of my life as well. I really prioritize investing in things that are important to me. In the last couple of years, I've invested a lot into my own personal health and the health of my husband and just the overall health of our home. Things like organic food, locally raised meat, buying things from the farmer's market, essential oils, going to a chiropractor and a naturopath regularly, purchasing high quality supplements and high quality non-toxic makeup and cleaning products are all really important to me. And I often hear people say that they can't afford that, they can't afford to invest in those things. And I get that that might be true for some people, but I also used to think that I couldn't afford to do those things because I know that often those healthier options are more expensive. But pursuing minimalism has really allowed me to invest in those things that I otherwise didn't think that I could afford. It's taught me to make sacrifices in other areas so that I can make those investments in areas that matter. Being able to spend my money on things like this that are important and really will make my life better have been so beneficial to me. And the financial aspects of minimalism go so much further. One way that we practice minimalism is that we only have one car between my husband and I, and a lot of people think that that's so crazy, but only having one car has saved us so much money that we've been able to invest in going on trips and doing other things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to afford. Minimalism and just being so intentional about where we're putting our money has really allowed me to pursue and afford things that otherwise I wouldn't be able to. I always knew that I didn't like clutter, but since getting rid of so much clutter and even getting rid of things that didn't feel like clutter, I've realized how much clutter was actually affecting me. For me, eliminating visual clutter, even things hanging on my wall or cute items that I did like that were sitting out on a table or surface or a shelf, getting rid of some of that stuff and reducing has allowed my home to actually feel so much more relaxing and beautiful to me. Over the years, I found myself accumulating so much stuff, just like many of us do, through things like bridal showers and wedding gifts, which, don't get me wrong, I am so grateful for those things, but I just felt like I was accumulating way more stuff than I wanted to have. I think that as you grow and change as a person, your wants and your needs and your hobbies, they all change. So even if you're conscious about the things that you're purchasing, you're going to end up with things that you no longer need because maybe you don't do that hobby anymore, or you just don't need that item anymore because you're in a different stage of your life where it's not as important to you. So this really is how I ended up making the intentional choice to pursue minimalism further. It wasn't enough to just stop purchasing things. I also needed to go through my belongings and ruthlessly purge so many things that just no longer served any purpose in my life. I've always regularly done purges in my closets. Like I mentioned before, I would reorganize or rearrange rooms even as a kid. So it was a very regular thing for me to go through my closet and get rid of things that I no longer liked or didn't fit me or had broken. That wasn't a new concept to me, but I feel like I just took it up a level in the last few years. It's not like I started out as a hoarder and became a minimalist, but I really just wasn't where I wanted to be, and I knew that I had more things in my house than I wanted to. So I think it really all started when we purchased our first home in summer of 2018. We bought a 3-bedroom bungalow. It's really not a big home, but we bought it knowing that we didn't want to outgrow this space. So I feel like what is common in North American society is that you outgrow your space, but really I think that often people just accumulate too many things. And of course, if you have like 6 or 7 kids, a 3-bedroom house would be pretty tricky. Even a lot of our friends who had 0 kids or 1 or 2 kids thought that our house was really little, and I just never wanted to get to the place where I felt like a house this size, which is actually pretty large for 2 people or even 4 people, was actually small. I do very much believe that a family with kids can live in a small space because people did it for hundreds or thousands of years. So after moving into this home, we knew that we didn't want to use our basement as a storage facility. We didn't want to accumulate so many things that they overflowed into our basement. And we also knew that we wanted to always have one room set up as a guest room and one room set up as an office. Although the office and the guest room are the rooms that I've had to do the most decluttering from because they are the rooms that tend to accumulate extra things that we're not really using. And in terms of storing things in our basement, we've done a really good job for the most part. Basically, we just have our Christmas decor and our winter tires because we do live somewhere where we have 2 sets of tires for the different seasons. And then we have like a workshop with all of our tools set up in our basement. And I think considering the fact that we don't have a garage or a workshop or a shed or something outside, we have done a really good job. But at some point, I felt like we were starting to follow that trend of accumulating things just because we had more space for them. And I think that that's a really natural thing to happen. Now that you have a bigger house, you can purchase more furniture for it or more decor for it, or you have a bigger closet so you don't have to be as careful about how many items are in it, as opposed to if you have a really little closet and you're super conscious of the things that you buy. I think for a couple minutes at some point in 2018, we stopped being as careful about the things that we were purchasing, but I noticed that happening and I didn't want it to spiral out of control. So I put an end to purchasing and accumulating things. So probably around the beginning or spring of 2019, I started really decluttering, and I decluttered the whole house, and then I decluttered it again, and then I'm still decluttering it now. And it's getting so much easier now. If I do a round of decluttering, I don't really have a lot of stuff, whereas before I could get rid of garbage bags full of things that we weren't even using. I found so much freedom in owning less things and having less things to clean. Previously, I always felt like I needed something hanging on every wall or a piece of furniture in every corner, and now I actually find so much peace in having empty white walls like this one that's actually right here. And I'm totally not perfect, but I feel like I've broken so many of those consumerist habits. Through pursuing minimalism, I also really discovered what I love. Not just what is trendy or popular, but which clothing I actually love wearing and feel good in, feel comfortable in, feel confident in. I've learned what home decor really actually brings me joy and functions for our family. And through decluttering and buying things that I was later getting rid of, I've learned some mistakes along the way of what things I don't like, what things don't get used in our home. Minimalism has also overflowed into our lifestyle. Actually, I think that this actually happened before, but I didn't recognize it until more recently. I've always been fiercely loyal to commitments. I'm really slow to signing up for a weekly workout class, or a weekly coffee date with a friend, or a Bible study every single Tuesday, or even taking on a new job, or even investing in new friendships. But that's because I take my commitments so seriously. If I commit to a Bible study on Tuesday evenings, you better bet that I will be there every single Tuesday, unless I am like deathly ill and stuck in bed or out of the province, because typically I will even schedule like little weekend trips around those commitments. I also know my limits and I don't overschedule myself. I think that the only way you can be that loyal to the things that you committed to without burning out is by applying some sort of minimalism to it and being really conscious about the things that you commit to. Some people might see this as selfish, but I actually think that it's quite the opposite. So many people in our society these days just kind of go about life without really figuring out what their priorities are or what they're committed to. They just kind of go about life focusing on the things that are the loudest or the most demanding or the most appealing. I actually think that this is so dangerous to friendships or to relationships, because this is when the other person ends up feeling hurt and like they're not a priority. Having minimalism in my weekly and monthly commitments has allowed me to be a better friend to the people that I really prioritize, and a better wife, and a better businesswoman, and all of the things. Being intentional about where I spend my time has really helped me. It's given me so much clarity about which things are important to me and how I can prioritize those things. Pursuing an intentional and minimalist lifestyle has already changed my life so much, and I know that it only will more in the future. My husband and I have so many dreams for the next few years. We would love to buy a van or an RV and travel for a while, or even live abroad for a few years. So many of these things seem crazy to other people, but I have no doubt that we can do them, because if it's important to us, we can focus on doing the things that we need to get there. We know that life isn't about accumulating all the things, a bigger house and fancier cars. It really is about making memories with the people that we love the most. And that's what minimalism has allowed us to create in our own lives.